You'll be shocked to learn that despite his immense wealth, Donald Trump eats ordinary fast food. Today, I will compare the food preferences of Putin and Trump and reveal who exactly prepares the favorite meals of these world leaders. Stay tuned until the end to find out what Trump eats during his travels. Enjoy watching. Who works in Putin's kitchen? You probably know how dangerous it is to be a president. Every day, numerous adversaries target the heads of state. Because of this, security watches over them day and night. Only specialized, trained, and highly trusted individuals are allowed into the kitchen. I decided to find out what Vladimir Putin eats and then compare it with the preferences of former US President Donald Trump. Here are some surprising facts I discovered. For instance, did you know that food for Russia's leader is prepared in a special kitchen under the Federal Protective Service, FSO? Yes, I mentioned this before, but it was only briefly. Now, I'd like to delve deeper into the inner workings. Only true experts are allowed to prepare the food, constantly monitored by security. Moreover, dishes undergo quality control before being served. There are dedicated personnel who check the food for poison, and there's even a laboratory for this. This may sound like a conspiracy theory, but I assure you, it's very likely true. Why? It's simple. As I mentioned, the president is always under high threat levels. Interestingly, some chefs become so close to Putin that they become his friends. What Putin likes most. Friends, which country's cuisine do you like the most? Personally, I love Eastern and Asian food, so I frequently visit various restaurants to try new things. Honestly, I don't envy President Putin, as he can't just walk into the nearest cafe for a quick bite, but he doesn't need to. Why? It all comes down to personal preferences. From an interview with Anatoly Galkin, a former Kremlin chef, I learned that Putin prefers simple, healthy dishes, mostly traditional cuisine. For example, Putin almost daily eats porridge made from rice, buckwheat, or millet. Interestingly, he dislikes oatmeal, although I find it the tastiest porridge. For breakfast, Putin usually has porridge, fruits, dried fruits, or raw eggs, accompanied by green or herbal tea. This diet seems to pay off, as Putin, at 71 years old, looks quite fresh. Maybe it's due to his healthy diet. Personally, I couldn't live like that. How can anyone start their day without coffee, bacon, or at least yogurt with apples and bananas? What would you prefer for breakfast? Main dishes and desserts. I digressed a bit from the main topic. What do you think Putin prefers more, meat or fish? I can't give a definitive answer because he likes both seafood and meat dishes. For instance, Putin loves royal fish soup and lamb. I share his taste here. It sounds delicious. What I can understand is that Putin almost doesn't eat sweets. Imagine having access to any food and not indulging in delicious cakes or snacks. But no, he doesn't take advantage of these privileges because he supposedly doesn't like sweets. There's one exception: ice cream. This might be because during the Soviet era when Putin grew up, there wasn't much variety in sweets. You could only buy chocolate and ice cream. Everything else had to be homemade. You can verify this theory yourself. How many of your grandparents who grew up during the Soviet Union are sweet lovers? None of my relatives of that age are. So this might be the reason, though I could be wrong. Share your thoughts in the comments. Alcohol, new dishes. Now let's talk about perhaps the most interesting topic. Does the president of Russia drink alcohol? The answer is yes, but not how you might think. The job requires constant composure, working 24/7 throughout the term, so Putin rarely drinks alcohol. At official events, he is served drinks with minimal alcohol content, like a mix of champagne with lemon juice and water. It doesn't sound very tasty, but I haven't tried it. I'll taste it someday. So, you'll never see Putin drunk, which is good. What about food during travels? Putin never refuses to try something new, always respecting the culture and traditions of the countries he visits. Of course, his meals are prepared under strict FSO supervision, with all necessary checks and tests conducted. During a business trip to South Africa, he even tried ostrich meat. I hadn't heard about that. I wonder what it tastes like. Trump's diet. I think I've shared all there is to know about Putin's diet. If I worked in his kitchen, I could reveal even more secrets. Now let's move on to another fascinating figure, Donald Trump. Do you know what the American president eats? You might expect it to be on par with Russia's food, but it's not. There's a common belief that all Americans love fast food, with the entire population eating at McDonald's, KFC, and similar places. Only the country's elite can afford healthy eating and fancy restaurants. This belief is true because fast food is cheap and healthy eating is expensive. But this doesn't apply to Trump. Trump seems to be a rebel among world leaders. Can you imagine your country's leader eating burgers and Diet Coke? But that's Trump for you. He loves fast food and simple, often unhealthy meals. But why? Let's delve into it. Strict standards in major chains. I understand why Trump prefers McDonald's and other major chains. These places have strict quality standards, making it unlikely you'll get food poisoning from a cheeseburger. Plus, being giant companies, they are under special scrutiny from law enforcement. Due to these standards, the food quality in these establishments is high, and the meals are prepared very quickly. Trump is pragmatic in this regard. He doesn't need to spend much time and money on a personal kitchen. He can simply send a courier for a fresh Big Mac from the nearest McDonald's. The food will be quick, fresh, and safe, assuming the courier doesn't get into an accident. Speaking of which, what should you do if you get into a car accident in America? Where do you seek help? How do you find a good lawyer? How do you get compensation if you don't have insurance? The company DTP America has helped clients receive $21 million in compensation. They will answer all your questions. Check the link in the description. Trump's preferences. So what are Trump's favorite foods and drinks? Oh right, I've already mentioned one of his top choices, the classic Big Mac. Besides that, the former US president regularly orders Filet-O-Fish and KFC chicken. I have just one question left. Does Donald prefer the spicy chicken version, or does he go for something milder? After all, spicy food can upset your stomach. That's a real puzzler. By the way, Trump often skips breakfast, and I get it, you're not always hungry in the morning. But if he does decide to have a bite, his menu usually includes bacon and eggs. It's like he's living in a Hollywood movie, isn't it? And what about lunch? Donald usually has it right at his desk. Really, why get distracted from important tasks when your desk can double as a dining table? One of his favorite lunch dishes is meatloaf sandwiches. Wow, this guy is the epitome of unhealthy eating. Then comes dinner time. You'd think he might have something light in the evening to avoid overloading his body before bed. But no, Trump prefers a well-done steak with ketchup. His tastes are certainly surprising. Sweets and drinks. It seems if his diet included more sweets, from what we've described, we wouldn't see a billionaire and a president of one of the world's leading countries, but just an ordinary, overweight American. Speaking of desserts, I found out that Trump is crazy about cherry vanilla ice cream. At least in this, he's somewhat similar to President Putin, but his preferences don't end there. Donald also loves C's candies. And what about drinks? No, this guy must have made a deal with the devil because with such a diet, he should definitely suffer from obesity. Just think about it. Trump drinks up to 12 cans of Diet Coke a day. Many experts say this is not the best choice for a person's health. Although, you don't need experts to understand that this is very harmful. How has he not developed diabetes yet? But I'll give him credit. Trump doesn't drink alcohol at all. I couldn't find any information on his preferences in alcoholic beverages, and that's a significant plus for him. However, everything else gives such a big minus that it's impossible to outweigh it. Okay, I need to calm down. What do you think? Is it normal for a president to eat like this? Interesting habits in other countries. But here's why I don't respect Trump at all in terms of food, his unconventional habits. Lots of fast food is one thing. Drinking soda daily is another. I agree these dishes are quite tasty, but not eating pizza crusts? That's completely unforgivable. Yes, you heard right. Trump is one of those guys who only eats the toppings. Personally, I think that's sacrilege. No wonder the creator of pizza made it with such crusts. Although it's quite possible that by the time the food is checked for poisons, it's already cold. In that case, I can understand why he leaves the crust. But still, you can order pizza with a cheese-stuffed crust or with a meat crust. I just can't understand Donald. And what about trips to other countries? Trump constantly had to travel to different parts of the world. The cuisine there is completely different. Did he, as president, prefer to reject the local dishes, ignoring the culture and local traditions? It seems impossible. But in reality, that's exactly what happened. Donald Trump almost never eats local cuisine in other countries. Take, for example, his trip to India. In this country, as you might know, cows are considered sacred animals, and eating them is forbidden. So Trump was served vegetarian dishes. And what did he do? He simply refused them, went to his hotel room, and started munching on burgers and Diet Coke. Yes, those same Big Macs made from beef. It seems like a very unpleasant move on his part, but I can understand him because, in my opinion, vegetarian dishes are completely tasteless. Of course, you can argue with me, but these are my personal tastes. Though, I would be glad to hear your opinions in the comments. Conclusions. In conclusion, I'd like to summarize a bit. Personally, I find Trump a fascinating figure. Just imagine, he's 78 years old, a true billionaire who can afford the very best, yet he still prefers unhealthy food. It's also surprising that he looks quite vigorous and youthful despite his age and diet. Maybe it's all about the climate and good rest? Otherwise, I can't explain why nothing affects him. If I ate like that, I'd have turned into a ball long ago. Meanwhile, Putin has a healthy diet. He's not much younger than Trump, and he looks just as good. In general, an amazing story. Today, I told you about the remarkably different diets of two presidents. Whose preferences did you like more? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching.